Hi, I'm Nicky Sohn. I am a composer based in Houston. I'm originally from Korea and I came to the US when I was 14. Currently, I am pursuing my doctorate at Rice University here in Texas. And before this, I got my master's from the Juilliard School and I got my undergrad from Venice in New York. I guess I would say my compositional style is my music tends to be pretty rhythmic. I write music more or less in like a diatonic style. So I use a lot of triads, seventh chords, ninth chords. I also get a lot of influences from jazz music. So I
Mhm.
love Bill Evans. I love bossa nova. I listen to a ton of jazz. So that's what I've been interested lately. This was right in the middle of the pandemic. It was kind of early. I had plans to go to Korea to see my family during the summer, but then all of that got canceled. And so I was just like stuck at home, being pretty sad and depressed and not being able to see a lot of people. I was still getting adjusted to all of this lifestyle. So it was actually a really refreshing thing for me to have this like 14-day period to focus on something, express myself, and especially because the theme of this year was like how the pandemic has affected our lives. I really love all the instruments that we were given, especially the clarinet. Clarinet's one of my favorite instruments to write for, so it was just perfect. And also, I was quarantined with my boyfriend, who is a cellist, and I was hearing the cello practice like nonstop for months, hours and hours every day. So I think I just had that sound in my ear. So it was actually a really nice instrumentation for my situation. I based on the piece on a Korean folk tune about um, this toad. So the lyrics goes toad toad, give me your house and I'll give you a new one. So like longing for home and sort of like in between places. I really like related to that theme. So I basically wrote like a theme and variation on that theme. And so and also I really like having sort of like limitations and like rules when I compose. I find it that it's like much more exciting to have more of like a puzzle situation than like I'm given all these like empty measures that I have to somehow fill. So
Mhm.
I really liked all these like rules and like regulations that I was given. It was much like more enjoyable. Before I wrote a single note, I wanted to make sure that I knew exactly how much time I would need to compose and how much music I would have to produce every day. So I figured if I could have a phrase structure that was like reasonable, like I came up with a 12 measure long phrase structures. And I figured if I have about like 8 to 10 of those, it would fill up the time that I was given. So basically, I'll sit down, write the 12 measure long phrase, like try things out on the piano, and then walk around, watch TV, a lot of Netflix during the summer, and yeah, and then listen through the MIDI just to check the timing of everything. And then if I felt that I could write more that day, I would add more, and then the next day I'd revisit and maybe like think about like different orchestration, different like articulation and everything. So like I had a very like grid schedule for myself. Even though I do write pretty fast, this was insanely fast. I like to work on multiple pieces at the same time, but during this time, this was the only thing that I could do because of the time constraint. But it was also really nice to know that I can do this if I need to in the future. This piece is one of the first pieces that I wrote during the pandemic. And so it has a lot of, I think it has a lot of like anxiety and like wanting to get out, wanting to change. Like it has a lot of like energy like that, energy pent up. Um, but at the same time, it has a lot of like lyricism. I've used, like I said, I've used a Korean folk tune to reflect my missing home, and so it has a lot of like sound world that I wouldn't necessarily have come up with myself. I think the piece actually just kind of reflects my personality a lot. Even though I get like frustrated and I was like pretty depressed and everything, I'm still very bubbly and I have a lot of energy. So like even though it has a little bit more of like a edgier quality, like a harmonic quality to it than other pieces of mine, it has a lot of like liveliness within that, and I think that shows my personality and like who I am very much.